You think budgeting is about saying no. No to coffee. No to that jacket. No to the weekend trip. No to everything that makes life feel like life. And that's exactly why you failed at it. Every single time. Not because you're undisciplined, not because you're bad with money, but because every budget you've ever tried was fighting against the way your brain actually works. Here's what nobody tells you. A real budget isn't a cage. It's a permission slip. And once you understand the formula I'm about to show you, not the one your bank app gives you, not the one your parents taught you, your relationship with money changes permanently. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you looked at your bank account and felt in control? Not rich, not overflowing, just in control. Like you knew exactly where your money was and exactly where it was going. If your answer is, I can't remember, or never, you're not alone. 78% of people live paycheck to paycheck, not because they don't earn enough. Plenty of six-figure earners are in that number, but because they've never been taught a system that works alongside their psychology instead of against it. Most budgeting advice sounds like this. Track every expense, cut everything you love, and somehow magically become a different person overnight. That's not a strategy. That's wishful thinking dressed as advice. The formula I'm going to give you has 3 visible layers and 1 hidden one. The hidden one is what makes everything else work, and almost nobody talks about it. By the end of this video, you'll know why your current budget fails before the month even starts, the exact percentage split that rewires your spending psychology, and the automation system that makes willpower irrelevant. But first, you need to understand why your brain is actively sabotaging you right now. There's a concept in behavioral economics called the scarcity trap. Here's how it works. When you tell yourself, I can't spend money on X, your brain hears one thing: X is forbidden. And what does the human brain do with forbidden things? It fixates on them. Harvard psychologist Daniel Wegner proved this decades ago. He told participants, don't think about a white bear. You already know what happened. They couldn't stop thinking about white bears. Your restrictive budget is the white bear. Every no amplifies desire. A few years ago, researchers tracked 2 groups trying to save money. Group A used a traditional restrictive budget. Cut everything, say no, tighten the belt. Group B did something different. They automated their savings first, then gave themselves guilt-free permission to spend whatever was left. 6 months later, Group B had saved 42% more. Same income, same expenses. One group fought their brain, the other worked with it. The budget that requires willpower is already a failed budget. Now, here's where this gets genuinely counterintuitive. You've probably heard of the 50-30-20 rule. It's almost right, but almost right is why it doesn't stick. The problem isn't the numbers, it's the order. Most people budget like this: pay needs, try to save, and whatever's left, if anything, goes to wants. That's backwards. The formula that actually changes your behavior goes in reverse. Step 1. 20% comes out first, before you see it, before you can touch it. Automated, invisible, gone. This isn't a budgeting decision. It's an architectural decision. You're not choosing to save. You're making it impossible not to. Step 2. 30% guilt-free spending. This is the part that makes financial advisors uncomfortable, but the data is clear. People who allocate specific guilt-free money spend less overall than people who try to eliminate all discretionary spending. Why? Because permission eliminates the binge-restrict cycle. Think about the last diet you tried. The one where you cut out all carbs, all sugar, all joy. How long did it last? 2 weeks? 3? And then what happened? You ate everything in the kitchen at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. Money works exactly the same way. Restriction creates rebellion. The 50%, your needs, is straightforward. Rent, food, utilities. But here's what elevates this from a budget to a system. Every budget formula stops at the percentages. 3 numbers. Good luck. Hope you stick with it. But the real formula has a 4th layer: automation architecture. You don't brush your teeth through willpower. You don't check your phone through willpower. These are systems, habits so embedded you don't think about them. Your money needs the same treatment. Here's the architecture. 1. Separate accounts. Not categories inside the same account. Actual separate accounts. One for needs, one for wants, one for savings. Physical separation creates psychological clarity. 2. Automated splits. The day your paycheck lands, 20% moves to savings, 30% moves to your spending account, 50% stays for bills. You never see the full paycheck. You only see what you can spend. 3. The 48-hour rule. Any unplanned purchase over $50, wait 48 hours. Not because you shouldn't buy it, but because impulse and genuine desire are two different things. If you still want it after 2 days, it's probably real. Separate accounts, automated splits, delayed decisions, 3 levers, 0 willpower required. But there's one more thing most people miss, and it's the difference between someone who follows a formula for 3 months and someone whose finances actually change forever. You've been taught that money management is about control, restraint, discipline. Let me offer you a different frame. Money management isn't about controlling yourself. It's about designing an environment where the right choice is the easy choice. That's not a motivational quote. That's behavioral design. If you keep your savings in the same account as your checking, asking yourself to just not spend it is like keeping a chocolate cake on your desk and telling yourself to just not eat it at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday after a terrible meeting. The cake wins every single time. So stop fighting the cake. Move the cake. A bank in the Philippines once designed a savings account you could only access by traveling to a specific branch, 2 hours away. Open only on Tuesdays. Deposits were easy. Withdrawals were deliberately inconvenient. Within a year, account holders had saved 300% more than their neighbors at a standard bank. Same people, same income, different architecture.